Old Arabian traditions affirm that Abraham's connection to the Great Pyramid is that they relate that he opened a very ancient coffer and discovered therein the truly old books of his ancestors Adam, Seth, and Enoch. This concerns the sarcophagus in the king's chamber that once had a granite sliding lid atop it. The proofs that Abraham had visited Egypt to translate the Enochian writings from off the surfaces of the Great Pyramid is a subject of lost scriptures of Giza. Before the deluge, Abraham's ministry was prophesied by an angel to Enoch who said, "After the flood shall arise another generation much afterwards. He who raised that generation, Abraham, shall reveal to them the books of thy handwriting, Enoch's. Of thy fathers, to them he must point out the guardianship of the world." Abraham's learning and knowledge was passed down from Shem and Noah, both men living before the flood. Noah was born in 2839 BC, and his guidance came from Methuselah, the ancient son of Enoch. From Adam to Noah, only Methuselah was needed for the transference of information to Abraham, this being over 2,000 years. The discovery of the pillars of Set quickly spread along the trade routes of the ancient world. The sages and scribes of even distant countries made journeys to Egypt, knowing that the stories from before the flood related that the truth about Earth's past and future were conveyed upon the casing blocks of the monument. Gnostic traditions affirm this. In the Kybalion we read, "From the land of the Ganga, India, many advanced occultists wandered to the land of Egypt, and sat at the feet of the Master. From other lands also came the learned ones, all of whom regarded Hermes as the master of masters, and his influence was so great that in spite of the many wanderings from the path on the parts of the centuries of teachings in these different lands, there may still be found a certain basic resemblance and correspondence which underlies the many and quite divergent theories entertained and taught by the occultists of these different lands today." The Hermes traditions refer both to Enoch before the flood and Abraham after it. Iamblichus wrote that Hermes wrote 20,000 books, and the Egyptian priest historian Manetho of Alexandria wrote that Hermes wrote 36,000 books. This confusion was born from the knowledge that long ago there was a tremendous amount of literature available that was copied from the surface text of the Great Pyramid. Hermes is often connected to Thoth. Over 22 centuries ago, Manetho wrote that before the cataclysm in Egypt, Thoth inscribed upon stelae, known as Assyriatic columns, pillars, the principles of all knowledge. After the flood, at a later period, the second Thoth came to Egypt and translated these writings in the vulgar tongue of men, the original text written in a sacred language. Abraham would spent 12 years, 144 months among the Egyptian priesthood and at the Giza site translating the Enochian records. The scholars from Egypt, Sumer and Akkad, Babylon, Aram, Phoenicia, Philistia, Crete, Susa, Anatolia, Canaan, Midian, and from further abroad, would see and be allowed to copy what they wished to take back to their countries. The Enochian inscriptions were so vast they required much abbreviation, and this is what is discovered when studying the oldest writings in the world. Biblical texts are paraphrases of much lengthier materials, and Sumerian, Sanskrit, Vedic, Zoroastrian, Near Eastern and Egyptian writings all mention histories and fragments of a theology that was known to them but lost over time. Correspondences between these earlier human writings preserved today that show remarkable parallels between another, though the cultures had little or no known contact. The Egyptians claimed their greatest writings were discovered in the ground. The Vedic texts claim their own writings came off of the surfaces of the altar of Agni, having 10,800 verses on each of its 10,800 blocks, and that these writings have been dug up. The Hindus claim that long ago their holy books were recovered from the bottom of the ocean after the flood. Abraham's translations became the core prophetic and doctrinal texts by which humankind built their religions.